Okay, all right. So welcome, guys. So thank you guys for logging on, even if it's just a few of you. Um, so I am talking about time management tonight, but it's not just about your schedule, and it's really about it's not it's just about it's even about your life schedule and things like that. So I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna try to do is your make your business easier for you to work in your life, and where it just naturally flows in your life. And that's what my business has always done for me, or I've always done for my business. It was just natural, and it was never hard to work my business because of how busy my family is. And I'll say this, my family has never ever had to suffer because I had a business. And so I was always at everything. And one thing, my family also sees the benefit of my business. And so it was never like me having to choose family or work. My family always saw the big picture. And my husband would always say, "You go and I've got the kids," or "You go and I'll do that." I'm like, "No, I can make it work." And so my all my children have always been very very encouraging, and of course my husband has. So I want to tell you like what I do on a weekly basis as far as to organize my week. One thing I'm going to tell you is I am not someone who has a very rigid schedule like a robot. And we all know people like that. They follow it to the T, and they do the same thing every week. I don't really think that works in this business. I know you've probably sat, I know Sheila's been around a while, and she's probably sat in around a lot of, director trainings where they're giving you their rigid schedule and this and that. I just don't think life is really like that. I mean, you've got to be able to roll with the punches. And I think that's why I've always felt so relaxed about my business, is that I roll with the punches. And so every Sunday after church, if I'm not holding an appointment, um, I have a big dry erase board that's in my kitchen. Okay. I wipe it down, and I take out I work from a calendar, an at a glance calendar. Now, over the years, I've tried different ones. You can kind of see, I've tried different ones, but I have to have it the whole month all on one page. You can kind of see my August, okay? I have to have it all from one page. I've tried to do the half and half where you've got, three days on one page, 3 days on another, and I have to see it all. With this training, I'm going to give you what I need, but I'm also going to tell you, you have to figure out what works for you. So I've spent a lot of money on calendars, and I just go back to this cheap one that I grab at Walmart. Okay, just this little skinny one. So I take my calendar. So this is the initial area where I write all my appointments. I will tell you, I wish I could get into the habit of writing them down with a pencil, kind of like a hairdresser does. I have envied them for years, but when I go to reach for something to write it down, it's never a pencil. I even just bought some really great pencils and stuck like a whole bunch of them in my purse, hoping that I would reach for them. But as you can see, I'm still using whatever I grab, because like when you get an appointment, you want to get it down, or you're going to forget it. So that is the one thing I wish I could get into that habit of doing. Now, so I take on Sunday afternoon, or if it's Sunday night when I get home from my appointment, I go to my dry erase board, and it's divided in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I just have just straight lines. It's nothing fancy. I literally write it up there, and then I draw a line in half. I've always done this, and I don't know why. Somebody saw my calendar one time, and they're like, "That is brilliant." I'm like, "Well, I don't know how brilliant it is, but I divide my day, and when I do it on the dry erase board, it's top is daytime, bottom is night. And that's because it's like two me's, okay? And I do this on my calendar too. I divide the boxes in half. So just like on my calendar, the top is the day, the bottom is at night. Because I do work from this at a glance, and it doesn't have the times, okay? And so that lets me have, what I've got to do during the day versus what I have to do at night. A lot of times, if I'm working at night, I keep my day really, really light, okay? Because I do not want to be exhausted. Our business is about a performance. When you go into that skincare class or that facial, you have to be energy giving. And if you are just worn out, it's going to come across as, oh, she's exhausting. She didn't energize me or whatever. And so a lot of times when I leave an appointment, because I have given all my energy, and I'm an introvert, I am a loner. I'll be honest with you, COVID, being quarantined, did not bother me. I like being home. I know that surprises you guys, but it's because I always look at when I do my presentations, I am an actress and I perform. I make sure everybody has a great time. So when I get in the car to leave, I'm like this. I have poured everything. I have emptied my cup. Okay. And so that's why when I'm working at night for a party, so like for example, on Wednesday, I'm doing a party at 11 for Kathy, and I'm doing a party at 6:30 for Erica. So I will come home and take a power nap, okay? 15 to 30 minutes. And I'm giving you that, especially even if I didn't have a party that morning, if I was just doing Erica's party that night, then I would have a really light day on Wednesday, and I would have a power nap after lunch, okay? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Because we're moms. Our days go from 6:30 to 11 o'clock at night. And you cannot be expected to burn both ends of the candle and do it all. And so a power nap is good. Now, I know that some of you work a full-time job. I was there, okay? I was there. And so that's why I knew when I had the most energy during the week was on Tuesday, okay? It wasn't on Friday. I was exhausted by Friday. I would do my parties on Tuesday nights. Monday was Monday, and nobody wants to do anything on Monday. And I knew from my personal experience that I had more energy on Tuesdays. And then I would always also start to figure that Thursdays, your guests have more energy because they're looking forward to the weekend. So those are some of the little things that I've noticed and I've paid attention to, and I've really kind of honed in on when am I the most energy giving? What is going to be, when are my guests going to be, the most, when are they going to enjoy it the most? And that's Thursday. But Tuesdays work for me in the beginning. Now, so going back to my calendar, take this calendar, I go to my dry erase board, and I take that week and I transfer it onto my dry erase board so that my husband can see everything, my kids can see, and it's got everything. It's got what I'm doing Mary Kay, it's got doctor's appointments, it's got, Kai's speech and occupational therapy. It has all my Mary Kay, it has ball games, and it's huge. It was, probably the best thing I ever purchased. But then after I have, put that on my dry erase board, I also have this that I carry with me. It's just a little spiral notebook, and I keep all of my sales tickets on here if I'm waiting for checks in the mail, or waiting on checks, or I've got to deliver, okay? Things like that. So some of these I just have to file because I've already got their checks in the mail, or if it's just a new order and I got to deliver it. Out of sight, out of mind, because if it's not in front of me, I totally forget it. And I write down an order the minute I see it because I will forget. Now, so every week I go to, notice these pages. Notice these pages are folded down, okay? Those were previous weeks. And I give Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I do half Saturday, half Sunday. And so what I do is I write down literally, so I have what I've got to do. I got to make deliveries. I literally go down and put where I'm going at whatever time. So if I tell somebody I'm going to be there at 10:30, I've got breakfast at 8 tomorrow. I've got to be in Columbus by 10:30. I've got to be back to Noonan by 12. I've got to have lunch with someone from 12:30 to 1:30. And then I've got to be at somebody else's house at 2. And then I've got to pick up my kids at 2:45. And then I have tennis at 6. And so that keeps me in order. So like I don't have to, because I can't write all that and be very detailed on my calendar, but I can be very detailed on my day to day, and I can make notes there. Like if an order comes in and I'm driving, I can quickly write down, process this order, run this credit card. I can make more notes that's going to keep everything in front of me. Okay. So those are the things, and then my date book fits right in there. And so these are the things that have changed my life. Now, these systems may not work for you, but until you figure out your systems, then you can follow along and figure out what you like, what works for you, okay? One thing that I don't do, okay, is I've never seen a need for someone to book all day, because, my bookings, whenever I had, kids, babies, I would, drive around, make a delivery. And if my kids fell asleep and it was quiet, I would pull over and I would book for a few minutes, and then I would go on. Everything I ever did when I had little kids, and I'm giving you my scenarios then and now. Everything that I did when I had small children was around them. I didn't go and get a babysitter. If I did get a babysitter, it was very rare. And it was because I was holding an appointment, an income producing activity. So I didn't get appointments for someone to watch my kids if I was going to go book appointments, or and most of the time, honestly, back then, even if I was doing an interview, I would have them meet me at Chick-fil-A. My kids would play. And so I didn't do the babysitter thing. That's where making sure your children are disciplined and they understand your business to where you can do those things. Okay. And so because my kids were disciplined and they were really, really good, I was okay with going to Chick-fil-A and doing an interview while they played. They knew I was working, and they knew, the procedures. If you need me, put your hand on my shoulders. We would go to the bathroom before my prospect would get there. But I did not go off and, all day and book while I had a babysitter. Okay. Never did that. I didn't have that luxury either, and I wasn't going to spend the money. And I changed every bottle. I fed every bottle, changed every diaper, and I totally worked my business around my kids, and that's why they had to be disciplined. So when I'm booking, like it was sporadic, I would get the bookings I need, and then I would mark where I left off, and then, when I would get ready to book for the next month, I literally would book in the beginning of the month for that whole month. And then I wouldn't book again until September. Now other bookings that would come would be from those other appointments. But let's say you had snow blindness on your date book and you just started to book to get all booked up. That's what I would do. And I'm a sales director. I've been a sales director, for 18 years. And, I was only just a consultant for a year and a half. And so I'm trying to remember what it was like just being a consultant. But I would book during those times. I was working a full-time job for the first 6 months. And so instead of lunch on Mondays and Wednesdays, I would eat really quick in my car. I could eat in 8 minutes. And the other 52 minutes I would book. So I would book on Mondays and Wednesdays, okay? And I would give myself 52 minutes, and then I'd go back into the office. That is, that's what worked for me because I didn't have any other time, and I wasn't going to take a night away from my kids and my family to, tell my husband I'm going off somewhere to go book. No, I did it. I always looked at my window of time that I had, and I took advantage of it. I never ever wasted time to play around. And I never had friends that, like, because you start to have Mary Kay girlfriends, director girlfriends, and we're all like-minded and we want to hang out. Even when I was in studios, we all just didn't waste time. Like, if we got together, it was to plan. We would plan for the whole quarter. And so we would spend an hour, 2 hours at breakfast one day planning for the whole quarter, and we wouldn't meet back up again until the end of that next quarter. I think we would always go to lunch on somebody's birthday. And then we would also, every December 15th was a thing that we did. We would meet for breakfast and we would all go shopping until lunchtime, and then we'd go get our kids. And so I was always around a lot of women who were very disciplined. And, we were all friends, and we would talk and we'd see each other at the meeting, but we didn't waste each other's time. And so I always respected my friends for that. Because when you get a whole bunch of girls together, it's fun to have girlfriend time, but we are all in a business to make money, and we have to create these paychecks. And so, you know like-minded people, working at, toward a goal of their own goal, and respecting each other is something that I really appreciated with the directors that I always hung out with, and in the studios that I was always with. Okay. So, and like I said, so I never spent all day booking. We used to pick up the phone and call, and now we text a lot. And so sometimes you've got morning people who are going to pick up the phone more in the morning or respond in the morning. And then you're going to have to figure out if these are night people, because sometimes people are working and they're not going to respond during the day. So you've got to be able to read your prospects and try, if they didn't respond during the day, try one of your nighttime bookings. So what I would recommend is have a nighttime booking time and have a daytime booking time. So that's what I always did. And like I said, if you need quiet, if you've got kids and you need quiet time, when they fall asleep, pull over and book. I always had my delivery time. I had times I have to make my delivery. But like I said, my schedule was never rigid. It was not that, oh, I can't do that because I've got to do this. It was, because with moms, things are going to come up during and so I'll kind of tell you one of the times that was very rigid. So when I was pregnant with Mary Beth, we were also adopting, and when they found out that I was pregnant, because I got pregnant during the adoption process, they said, okay, you have to get your paperwork to China before the baby comes, or they make you wait one whole year. But if you get your dossier to China before the baby comes, then you stay in line. And I'm like, okay, because I was already 42. I didn't know how long I was going to wait. So that was January. So I had January to July to do about 4 pounds worth of, it was 4 pounds when you weighed it. You would not believe all the paperwork. Most dossiers can take anywhere from 6 months to a year to finish, and I did it in 6 months. So here, and running a business, because I couldn't push my business aside. So what I did was, when I scheduled appointments or interviews for prospects or health facials, whatever, my daytime stuff, I would do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. And then for adoption stuff, I would do Thursday, Tuesday, and Thursday during the day. These are my daytime things. And so I would do interviews interviews and facials on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then whatever nighttime I had going on, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays. I did that for 6 months until I mailed my dossier to China. And then, so that was the only time really that I was ever so rigid that I knew what I was doing. And it's because I had to. So that's what's so great about this business is when you've got to be rigid. And even like with me for basketball season, the middle of October basketball starts and it ends the middle of February. And I condense everything at night down to Wednesday and Sunday. And then the few Thursdays that I have. But in the beginning, when I don't have the calendar, I start moving everything Wednesday, Sundays because there's no basketball. And then once I get the schedule, I can be a little bit more flexible and squeeze what I've got to do into those other days. So that's, being flexible is really my key point today. And those people that want you to have a rigid schedule and do the same thing, that's not your if that's not your personality, it's not your personality. And it's like putting a square peg in a circle, or a circle in a square peg. It doesn't fit. So you figuring out who you are, it's like that, the cheesy saying, you be you do you, because you do it best. And that's what I always try to teach. So, hold on. I'm trying to read my notes so I can stay on task here. So yeah, with this business, and being a mom, it's impossible to do the same thing every day, every time during the same week. I mean, it's just impossible. For one, you don't know who your prospects are, what interviews you've got to do because you met somebody at the party the night before. You've got to have some open time slots to be able to squeeze those in, because there's certain things that need to be addressed instantly. So for example, Miss Kathy had a party, and she got 2 recruits from her first party and a possible prospect. So boom, right away, I squeezed her new gal in for Tuesday after lunch. And then I've already texted the other girl for, to have lunch. And so having some open windows to where you don't book yourself up solid that you can't get to something that is important, like a team member, for 2 weeks because you totally booked yourself up. I think that's insane. And I think that's what a lot of people do, because they get so wrapped up in their schedule and their rigid schedule that they're not flexible, and they miss the things that are going to bring them in the most results. Okay, the most results. A new team member, that starts building your team. That's your big money. That's your future money. That's your free cars. That's you becoming a sales director. Okay. So I think people that study time management all the time and they're working on time management and critiquing it, I just think they just need to lay that down and just go work. Just go book some appointments and hold some appointments. Everything is going to come into place. And I know it's a personality thing that some people, they can't kind of shoot from the hip, but sometimes you got to shoot from the hip. So hold on, let me get back to my schedule. So let me here, hold on. So one thing that I always focus on, so I didn't get overwhelmed, was my husband always said to me in the very beginning, you book at least one party a week, you hold one party a week, and you work on getting one reorder. It was very, very small victories. Okay. And then once I started hitting those small victories, then I started hitting 2, 2, 2, get 2 bookings a week, hold 2 appointments a week, get 2 reorders. And that's what comes with your customer service calls. Where did I squeeze those in? Those are always in the carpool line picking up my kids. Had a list of my people that I needed to call that was 2 plus 2 plus 2. You follow up with your new faces that bought skincare after 2 days, after 2 weeks, and after 2 months. And now it's just a quick text saying something like, hey, Erica, just checking to make sure your skincare is doing okay. If you're good, we don't need to tweak anything. I'll follow back up with you in 2 weeks. That was your 2-day text. Hey, Erica, it's 2 weeks, just making sure everything's still going good. Please let me know if we need to tweak anything. If not, I'll check in a couple months and make sure you're not running out. Okay, so these are just, you actually, when you do the My Customer app, there's a little 2 plus 2 plus 2 icon that you click, and it sends you those reminders. Now, I'm a dinosaur. I go through my sales tickets, and I pull out my new faces, and I just write them down in my notebook, okay, because I'm a dinosaur. But technology makes it easy. So those are your customer service calls. That doesn't need an all-day approach either. You know, these things are on the go. I tell people you could do your whole business from your phone. You just have to be flexible and not be so rigid. Okay. Some other time management things that kind of consume us is when we are starting a business and it's new. The best thing I did, I had to quit. I'm going to tell you what I quit, and then I'm going to tell you why I had to quit. I had to quit softball. I had played softball for 25 years. I didn't have any more nights. Ryan had started playing t-ball, and I wanted to be at everything in my Mary Kay business. I went to my meetings on Monday. I held an appointment on Tuesdays, and I wanted to be at his games on whatever night they were. So I had to give up softball because I needed to build my business so I could be home with Ryan and Riley. Okay. Second thing, I had to quit the church choir. God really convicted my heart that the lost was around the kitchen table and that he could use me more than me singing in the choir and having choir practice, you know, during the week and then whatever. So I quit the choir. And the third thing was I had to stop volunteering until I got my business built and established. And that meant volunteering at school. I would always go on my field trips, but I would not volunteer to do anything for anybody or anything at church because God gave me this business. I had to get home with my kids first. Okay. Now, there's a quote that I found and I've lived by. And look, it just left my brain. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Oh God, I'm going to have to text it to you. Because there's a lot of good causes. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it's like my favorite quote. You can tell I'm getting old because I can't. Basically, it's a great cause, but it's not my cause. And I can say, if you can say, yeah, you can say no to those things that are not your calling, basically, and say no to the things that are a great cause, but they're not your cause. And when you can do that with a guilt-free heart and know that you are doing what God has called you to do to build this business. And if a ministry is your calling, I promise you, you will meet more lost people around the kitchen table than you'll see behind any of the church doors. Okay, the lost is not at church anymore. They're out in the world, and we can see that on the news every day, right? So while you're building and while you're new in your building, saying no to those causes that are great causes, but they're not your cause. And when I did that, it released me from the busyness that could have stopped me from growing my business. There's a lot of people that could be really, really great at this, but Satan keeps them so busy with busy work that they're missing God's calling for them and what God wants them to do. God, when God calls you to do something, he doesn't care about your title. He doesn't care about a prize. He has a plan. He has a purpose. And if we're obedient, we will see the reward. We will see his glory, and we get to celebrate the victory with him. But God gets no glory out of you failing and staying too busy that you can't see what his plan was, but he gets all the glory out of you succeeding. And so, saying no right now doesn't mean you have to say no, 2 years from now or 3 years from now. I do a lot of, things at school now, but I'm established. My schedule is a well-oiled machine. And when I got it, to where I could do everything, then I was free to, put my times in some other places, but yet still respect my business and my family and never take those two things for granted. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Let me stop the recording, and if you have any questions, hang on just a second.